Hi boys and girls, we're going to talk about insects today. We've been learning about them in class. I want you to do well on your test. I know that you've got it all up here. It should be pretty easy. So let's take a look. Insect. That's what we're learning about. Insects have 3 body parts, 6 legs, antennae, and eyes. Living creature with 6 legs, 3 body parts, antenna, and eyes. Well, I sort of get that a little bit jumbled up in my head when I'm trying to remember it. I don't remember which of the body parts come first. I know there's a head and a thorax and an abdomen, but I think, oh, how am I ever going to remember which one of those comes first? So I kind of made up this little rap. I think it'll help you. It goes like this: H to the T to the A, H to the T to the A. And then when I say that, I think H to the T to the A, head to the thorax to the abdomen. Okay, that helps me to remember the 3 body parts of the insect: head, thorax, and abdomen. Insects have an exoskeleton. When we think of exoskeleton, it is the hard outer covering of the insect. We're gonna come back to exoskeleton in a little bit when we talk about nymphs. So hang on just a second. When we're talking about life cycle, that simply means the stages of life. That's all. We talk about that a lot, the stages of life. So let's look a little bit at this for a minute. We learned about metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means to change. To change. It's not what it was. When we have complete metamorphosis, that is a total change. Total change. The larva does not look like the adult. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Here we have an egg. Okay, then from that egg we get a larva, which we call a caterpillar. Larvas could be caterpillars, they could be maggots, but this is the larva, and then it turns into a chrysalis, and we call that stage the pupa. From the pupa, it will turn into an adult. So we can see that there is a complete change. It does not look the same. That is complete metamorphosis. Here's another example of complete metamorphosis. Here you can see that we have eggs. This time, this is the larva. Oh, now wait a minute. That looks a little bit strange. It doesn't look like a caterpillar. This is the larva. This is the pupa. Okay? And then it becomes this. So we do see that it is complete metamorphosis because it started out looking like this and now it turned into this. Okay? Total change. It's a complete metamorphosis. Incomplete metamorphosis, though, that's a little bit different. It's not a total change. The nymph looks like the adult, so that when you hear the n in nymph, you should think incomplete. N, incomplete. So let's take a look at that. We have an egg sac. Out of the egg sac comes tiny little praying mantises called nymphs, but they look like the adult. They will then shed their exoskeleton, which means that they wiggle out of their exoskeleton because the exoskeleton is too small and their body has grown. So they wiggle out of that, and then they have a new exoskeleton underneath. Then when they grow some more, they wiggle out of that exoskeleton until finally they become an adult. So we know that with incomplete, the babies are called nymphs, and they wiggle out of their exoskeleton and they become adults. They look like the adult. A predator is something that eats another animal. We know that, that's kind of easy. And a habitat is an animal's home. It's where the animal lives and it's got enough to survive. It's got food, water, and shelter. That's the habitat. And now, boys and girls, we've learned from butterflies that if they don't have their food source anymore, if it's too cold or if the crops are dying, they move or migrate. When something moves to find food, we call that migration. Some other insects, they sleep during the winter. That's called hibernate. So they might bury under logs, they might bury under some kind of Oh, there's Ozzy again. Never fails.